Hello! An unboxing. This time it's for the Fractal North XL computer case. Here it is. Move that out of the way. This is the black one, TG dark tint. So it's got the glass panel on it. So anyway, let's get it opened up and have a look. I will cut out the bit where I struggle with the box. So I'm just going to open it so you can see it being opened more than anything else. So you know it's all not scripted or rehearsed or anything. And the first view, I'll just move this screen out of the way actually, because that's in the way of it. So the first view is kind of that. So you get quite a nice view of the wood panelling on it. That's it on the GoPro there. Now we'll get it out of the box. What I'll do is I'll just said I wouldn't film the bit where I struggle with it, but here I am struggling with it. I'll move it out of the way and I'll edit this bit. Right, so I've got it out of the box. I'll just come back into view. Here it is, which is the top, which is the bottom. I'll flip this over. I think this is going to be the bottom. Yes, it is. Pull off that big lump of polystyrene. Chuck it over there. First thing we see is a user guide. There's the user guide viewer. Also, you notice that the feet have got a sort of a gold tint on them. So we'll flip it up and get the mug off. And this is it's heavy, but it's not as heavy as one of the Lian Li ones that I've just unboxed. But it's still got a bit of heft to it. It's just it looks like it should be heavy. A bit static there. It looks like it should be heavier than it actually is. Because you think this is a massive case, it's going to be a bit of a chunker, but in fact it's lighter than you expect. I'll just get me lazy Susan out because that makes life a bit easier, and I'll just pop this on it. There it is. Right, so there's the case there. Spin it round. Glass, handle with care, it says on there. There's a little tag there. That feels like it's leather, which will be a bit unnecessary, but anyway, if I give it a pull, it's there's no dust filter in there. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's no dust filter, but the mesh is quite fine, so it kind of forms its own dust filter. So that's a bit nifty. They've saved themselves a bit of time and effort there. So there's some metal lugs there, which there's no retention though. There's no way of screwing it in. So obviously when you're moving things around, you've got to be careful. If you're going to lift it, don't lift it like that, because as soon as you, and that's, get it? So don't lift it with your hand on the top. Right, let's open it up. Hopefully these are going to be, they're not. They're very much screwed in. So we'll just unscrew them, loosen them up a little bit, like that. Undo that, undo that. Are they captive? Yes, they are. I think they're captive. And you pull them and it comes off. So it doesn't come off, you know, it's a traditional slide and lift off thing. So that's the glass panel. It's got heft. It's thick, but it's not a massive great pane of glass. So they've made that quite nice and thin. Knocked it against the thing there, but it's fine. There is a bag of desiccant, so we will take that out because we don't really want that. So they're obviously quite keen to get the moisture out. Massive great bag there. I'll put that out of the way there. I can see there's a box of bits there, so we'll take the other side panel off. First thing is it's quite a nice, there is a screw there, that does look a little bit bent. But I'm guessing that's for that side panel there. So you unscrew that and then that comes off and that gives you access to the front bit, I guess. We'll have a little play in a minute though. In the meantime, we'll get the other side panel off. It's going in a computer that I'm transplanting the parts out of it. Just unscrew that, grab hold of that, pull it, yeah, so out, yeah, pull it, and it comes off in a sort of traditional way, so that's okay. I'll put that next to the glass panel on the floor. And they've got 1, 2, 3 fans at the front that are pre-fitted with the cable for the motherboard there, look. And they've got the cable ties in, and they've done they've done it, so that's quite nice. These have actually got little daisy chain bits on them, so that's kind of interesting as well. And they're 4 wires, so they're PWM fans. That's quite nice as well, because we like PWM because they're just a bit smoother and more controllable. Just going to undo this if I turn it the right way, of course. So that takes really care of that. So on the other end of that, we have HD audio, USB 3, USB 3.1, 3.2, C header. There's a couple of, so there's a power switch and a power LED. That means there isn't a reset. So it doesn't have a reset, which is kind of interesting. But interesting. So let's see what we've got in here. That's cable tied in. Well, not cable tied in, but it's attached to the drive thing. So I'm going to have a look at now. The screws for that are slanted, so you can sort of see that there's a bit of a. Can you see how they're slanted? So you screw them in like that rather than vertically or horizontally. So the accessory box is fixed in with quite a long bit of wire, like that. And that's a HD caddy. I could put that there, couldn't I? And there's 2 of those in there. So here's the accessory box. Let's see what we get in the accessory box. We get accessories, funnily enough. Some cable ties. You get, I got 4, I count 4. And then there's standard screws, power supply type screws there. And then we get some grommets. These are probably for the hard drive, because the hard drive caddy has got almost like sort of Mickey Mouse ears on it. So that's where the drive fits in. So that's what the grommets are for. And there's 8 grommets because there's 2. I'll just take it out. There's 2 drive caddies. Here's the second one. So you get 2 drive caddies. There's a couple of spare motherboard risers in case you need them. A couple of spare ones. And standard sort of 2.5 inch CD-ROM style drives, although there's drive bay in these, but it's that sort of thread, that fine thread. Whole load of slightly bigger thread ones, they're going to be for the motherboard. And then these are the drive ones, the hard drive ones, so they've got a thread and then they haven't got a thread. You can't really see it very well, but the grommet obviously fits on that and then they get screwed into the drive. So you get, it's not overflowing with screws, but you get enough. And then I'm going to open up the other bag. We will have a look at what's in there. And we have a user guide. It's always nice to get a user guide in red. Attention, English. Because, yeah. Before returning any other product, please contact your reseller or Fractal Design. Most issues can resolve through our support team. Most case parts are removable and are easily replaced. That's quite nice. So I'm guessing if you have a problem or something breaks off, you just contact them and hopefully they'll send you some free stuff to replace it. which is, yeah, customer service is very important, because a true test of a company is not what happens when things are going right, it's what happens when things go wrong. Introduction, you have bought a case. There's the picture of it, and then there's a blowout sort of diagram of it showing where the fans are and what comes off. Case open. It's actually, it must be multilingual. Yeah, it's multilingual. No, hang on. No, it's all English. Wow. Quite a substantial manual, and it's all in English. Right, so I'll look at the content. So introduction, builder's guide, optional steps, additional info, support and service. I mean, they say it's in English, it's not, it's sort of bilingual. You've got the parts labelled first in English, but then you have it labelled in other languages. So it is multilingual, it's just thicker than I was expecting. All-in-one water cooling build, so it's got some build guides. So this is actually quite a good case for beginners. There's the accessory box contents if you wanted to sort of freeze it and have a look. Not sure how well it's lit because the light's not pointing very well. Builder's guide, I/O shield, power supply, prepare the motherboard, connect the cables. Yeah, so okay, great. So we'll have a look at the front. I think what you do is you pull the bottom and it kind of comes off, does it? Is that what you do? Do you pull the top? I know, I'll look in the manual. Is there a bit about taking the front off? Builder's guide. That comes off, that comes off, that comes off. Connecting the I/O, remove the drive trays. Nothing about taking the front off at the moment. Optional steps. Aha! Remove the front panel. So you pull it from the bottom and it comes out. Aha! Got it. I didn't break anything. Remember, 2-finger rule. If it's not working straight away, you're doing it wrong. So the whole front comes off. The whole front comes off. So don't think that this bit comes off, because it doesn't. I mean, it does, you pull hard enough. But it's that's, yeah, I'll just check to make sure it, yeah. It's absolutely, yeah, so there, that's the actual bit, the whole front bit comes off. I'll just put that over there out of the way. And then we see the fans. So you've got 340mm fans. There are some plastic clips there. They don't supply any spares, so they're more confident than Lee and Lee are. So those are quite big chunky fans, and they're pre-fitted, and also they're pre-wired, as I pointed out earlier. And you've got a little fan hub there. One wire going to the motherboard, which is that one, PWM, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, space for 4 fans. Now you should be able to run 4 fans off one motherboard header, but you should actually just check the current draw just to make sure it's all right. It should be, but you know, check it anyway. There's a thing there that comes off, not even sure what that is. It looks like, oh, it's for SATA. So you've got 2 SATA drives there that you can put in there, 2.5-inch SSD mounts, which comes off so you can screw it in and then mount it again. And then there's loads of hard drive ones on the bottom where you can fit in the caddies, and the power supply obviously sits right there. So around this way, shall we just undo this and have a look while we're at it? Just undo that one. So just undo that, and then what happens to that? Does that slide? Sort of does, yeah. Got to get the screw out there, haven't I? It's a bit tight, but I'm sort of teasing it out. And that was a bit that was a bit nerve-wracking, but it came off cleanly. So that's that panel there. I'll just move it out the way and put that down there. So that gives you a much better view of what's going on inside the case. So I'll unclip the camera and we'll have a look. So here comes the GoPro. So there's your 4 fans, 3 fans. They're 140mm, and they're Fractal branded ones. You've got some nice grommet-y things here for hiding your cables and things. There's a nice big hole at the back so that you can mount the CPU cooler without taking the motherboard out, which is kind of nice. There's obviously, you've got the gaps at the bottom. There's the bottom cavity is quite well ventilated, You can't mount any any fans at the bottom. There's nowhere to put fans at the bottom, but you can mount them at the top, and you can mount them at the back as well. And you've got the 3 at the front anyway, and then you've got the connectors here. So that's the little fan hub that they put on, and they've got these rather nice sort of Velcro cable tidy clips, which they've obviously pre-wired in. On the top, we should really look at the top, shouldn't we? On the top you've got a power button which sounds like this, so you get a bit of a positive click to it. I don't know how well the mic's on my t-shirt, so I don't know how well you can hear that, but it's got it's a push button rather than a switch, obviously, because they're all push buttons on there. And you've got your connectors there for your headphones and microphone, and then you've got USB 3 and a USB-C. No reset, so if you're looking for reset, you're not going to find one. That's it unboxed. Remember, first time I've seen the case. So part of what I do is just do everything in one take, for one thing. I will edit trim bits out as I see fit, but part of what I do is not necessarily to help the seasoned PC assembler. Part of what I'm doing is to help someone who's maybe new to it and wants a bit of confidence building, wants a bit of encouragement. Hopefully it'll encourage you to not, you know, they didn't give this to me free. I bought this, so this is for a customer's machine. I'm transplanting their old gear into this one, which we'll see at the end of the video because I'll add it on at the end. And I wanted to try and encourage you to get involved in it because it is kind of fun. You can ask questions and I will endeavour to help you as much as I possibly can. So yeah, if you're just here for the unboxing and the general first impressions, then, oh, there's a cable tie thing there. There's a mounting plate for the power supply as well, which is interesting because you don't normally see them. But yeah, so if you're here for the first impressions, that's kind of it. So liking and subscribing is appreciated. That way you'll get notified of anything new that I put online. And thanks for watching this bit. So this is the first sort of bit, sort of the assembly experience bit after the main unboxing. And the customer wants the 140mm fans that come with it taken out and some pretty RGB ones putting in. So those are the ones that are there. They came out pretty cleanly. You've got good access to the screws at the bottom despite this sort of shield here. But I just wanted to point this out. When you put the replacement ones in, everything just lines up beautifully. It's just very, very pleasing. So you can see from the front how everything's just, yeah, there's a nice symmetry to it, and it's only held in by one screw at the moment, but it just sort of went in and everything just lined up, so you haven't got this sort of shuffling around. So they've been very careful where they put the little mounting points to make sure that everything, you know, fits in nicely. And that might be because they pre-fit the fans, so if you're going to, you know, it's got to have fan mounts, so they might just put them in so that whoever puts the fans in has an easier life. There is that. That's probably the main reason for doing it, but it is just nice if you want to swap them over. So yeah, on to the next bit. So we're progressing. Next thing I want to point out to you is that this under shroud area here, if you can't get the power supply in by sliding it in through there. That thing I pointed out earlier, that plate on the back, you have to take that plate off, attach it to the power supply, and then shove everything through. So that's just one thing that might save you a bit of time if you build with this case. So anyway, next thing. Hello! Right, it's all finished, it's all built. I think building is the wrong word. It's all assembled. This wasn't a new computer. What this was, it was an old computer that was transplanted into a new case. So these parts are from another machine, and you can see they actually fit this and match this rather nicely. Open RGB is synchronizing all the lights, so you've got RGB fans at the front on the cooler, and then you've got the motherboard RGB, the pump's got its own little LED on it, and then the RAM's got LEDs. So Open RGB is dealing with that perfectly. I'll just release the camera a little bit and we'll have a little close-up look at things. The cables are from Link Up. The customer supplied these, and I was a bit skeptical because I always am about these things, but I think they look quite nice because they match the little gold flashes that you get. So the buttons on the top are gold as well. So, and rather conveniently, the edge of the circuit board is sort of yellow as well. So it's got a nice little accent to it. So I think that's worked out rather well. I mean, this looks like again, this kind of cabling just looks like fishing nets snagged on a shipwreck. So I'm not a fan of that generally, but that's the only way I could get that to fit in without it looking ridiculous. So I think that's, yeah, until they put those power connectors on the end, which I don't think they're going to do because of case, as soon as they put them on the end, so it's always going to have this thing sticking out like this, which sort of hides the G. So I think there's work to be done there. But yeah, so you've got the radiator fans on the top, you've got the 3 fans at the front, and they're all lovely and RGB, and they're all working nicely. I would like to just test something with you, if I may. There was some issues with some I've watched videos on this case before just to see what I shouldn't cover. And a lot of the videos mention how noisy the fans can be. So I haven't noticed that, to be honest. I will test it. I've got my little sound meter here. So what I'll do is I'll just measure now remember the side panel's off. So I'm just going to measure the sound at the moment. I'll stop talking because obviously that will trigger it. And I'll do a max and min. And then I'll do CPU Z, bench it, and then I'll move it around and we'll see what the maximum noise level is. Okay. So I'll just turn my little device on. So there it is. And I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to click max and min, and then I'll just do a few things and we'll see what sort of values we get. So yeah, no, if you've got your headphones on, you can't hear it, can you? I wouldn't say it was earth-shatteringly, you know, it's not window-rattlingly noisy, is it? I think if you're rendering or you're doing video conversion or something like that, and the CPU is getting thrashed, then the fans are going to react to that, aren't they? So you might get a bit more noise then. But I didn't think that was particularly noisy. They obviously with this front on, air is going to get sucked through it. So yeah, there are some great videos that do illustrate that this front doesn't, you know, has an adverse effect on noise. It's got a filter on it. Also, this isn't wood. Don't think for a minute that this is actually wood. It's not. It's like a wood effect. It's plastic and it's like a wood effect. It looks quite nice, but don't think that it's wood because it ain't. Right, anything else I want to say about this? It's kind of worked out rather nicely. Yes, cooling. I want to mention cooling. I'll just bring that like that, and I'll bring the camera in. So there's 3 fans at the front, and there's 2 fans supplying the radiator at the top, and those are the exhaust. The power supply sucks air in from the bottom and blows it out the back, so we can ignore that. So looking at the way the fans are orientated now, you can see the front fans pull air in. That bottom one effectively feeds the graphics card, which then warms the air up, and that air gets blown into that area there above the RAM. Now, if you've got an air cooler, that's right in front of the CPU air cooler. So the hot air comes out of the graphics card and then gets sucked straight through the cooler. Now, I don't see how critical thinking rather than any. I'm not paid to do tests on this. Someone can pay me if they want, but I'm not paid to do it. But in terms of critical thinking, that tells me that that is going to make the cooler work harder and won't be as good at cooling as if it wasn't getting this big blob of hot air from the graphics card. So that whole design just seems a bit stupid to me. The landline case that I reviewed before, which has the reverse mode, takes care of that, because then the rear becomes intake, and that is fantastic. So 3 at the front, 2 on the radiator at the top. So these are exhaust. and these are intake. Now, the customer did supply me with a fan to put on the back, mainly for us, but I'm thinking if there's an exhaust fan there, it can't, the radiator and the whole flow can't draw air in from the back. Does that make sense? So you've got air coming in from the front, air going out on the top, but because of there being no exhaust fan on the bottom, air can also be drawn in from the back. So I think that actually is going to be better for cooling. So I've actually left that fan out and didn't bother putting it in. So I think that back is best left completely open. Yeah, I do want to mention while I'm at it a little tool that I thought was useful. So I put the fans in, I put these fans in before I transplanted everything, and that was okay because you can get a screwdriver in when there isn't a graphics card in the way. Obviously now with the graphics, that's not a good idea, is it, poking around in there? You can get access to the bottom, but once it's full of cables and things, it becomes a bit more awkward. So if you want to change fans later on, there's this. What it is, it's a little, that's kind of what it looks like there. It's a little ratchet screwdriver set, but it's low profile and right angled. So you can get that right inside and then just click, 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 click. So you can loosen things, adjust them without using a full screwdriver. I am going to do a, is that BDS Technique or something? I think that's what it says on it. I am going to do a separate set of videos on the tools that I use. I'm going to call it the Q-Jump series. So you know, what tools do I use? Use these. So I'm going to worry about trying things out. So that's going to feature in that as well. But that's kind of a useful little tool just for adjusting things without, you know, where you can't get a screwdriver in there, or whether you don't want to just lunge in with the screwdriver because you're afraid you might knock something. But anyway, I'll stop talking now. Liking and subscribing is appreciated. I hope you like this. I think it's turned out quite nicely. At some point, manufacturers might put power connectors on graphics cards on the end, so you don't get this fishing nets on a shipwreck effect. But I think that's, you know, turned out rather nicely. They actually link up those cables. Customers supply them. I was a bit skeptical, but I think they work quite nicely. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.